And these are the first visuals on your screen, live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi heading to Japan in the next few minutes. And before his departure at the airport, these are the visuals of him heading into the aircraft. Remember, it's going to be a very crucial, strategic three-nation tour that he's embarking upon. From 19th, which is today, to 24th, the group of 7 leaders, multilateral summits, Japan, Papua New Guinea, Australia, and starting with Japan will be in Hiroshima. So it's not only going to be a historic visit, it's also going to be hectic with a very packed itinerary. Prime Minister Modi with a photo opportunity of Namaste there, heading into the aircraft and will be flying off to Japan in just the next few minutes. Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs editor, joining me on the phone line for that. So Geeta, that moment of him departing, but he also knows that there is going to be a very crucial meeting that are set and scheduled. Who all are we are likely to expect as the start of the meeting as and when he lands into Japan, because there are, of course, there is US President, there is a French President, there is a British Prime Minister. How are you looking at the meetings that are scheduled, Geeta?
Well, apart from the multilateral of G7 and the India-Pacific Islands countries and the Australia visit, there are a lot of bilateral meetings as well. While the focus is going to be given, it's Hiroshima, nuclear disarmament, energy and food security crisis, so on and so forth. We are also looking at bilateral meetings with the Prime Minister of Vietnam, with the President of France, with the Prime Minister of Japan, as also bilaterals with the Prime Minister of the UK. And while there is no confirmation or scheduled timing or time slot for a bilateral with Biden, but there surely could be one with the US President as well. We're also looking at Korea. So important bilaterals that you see on the sidelines of the G7 that Prime Minister Modi will be holding, and there are about 3 working sessions on the first day. He will begin by speaking on the topic toward a peaceful, stable and prosperous world, going to then various other important aspects. Like I said, Hiroshima being chosen by Japan as the city to host the G7 in itself is significant, owing to the Russia-Ukraine war, where there's a lot of conversation and threats, nuclear threats that are being that we hear time and again. So a very significant, important meeting. India has been part of the G7 as an invitee, as a guest country for many years, barring a few. And the importance of India continues to grow in a scenario where India holds a unique position of being able to engage the West and engage countries like Russia as well.
All right, Geeta, stay on with me. We are looking at these live visuals on our screen. Remember, Prime Minister Modi visiting Japan on the invitation of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. And Geeta, so let's talk about Japan and India for a minute as we look at these visuals. What time is he likely to arrive in Japan? And we're looking at, of course, Japan and India. That's been allies culturally, traditionally. There is a lot of symbolism attached to both the nations as well in terms of religion. How are we looking at India and Japan ties at this summit, at this meeting, Geeta?
Well, it's a very important one. There are very significant conversations, Pooja, when it comes to India-Japan ties, particularly to do with business and trade. Security, a very major part of India-Japan conversations. Remember, it was Shinzo Abe who had ideated, and the inception of Quad was by the then late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And it carried forward up until now, where every country in the Pacific region understands the importance of a cohesiveness and a cohesive policy to take on countries such as Russia, such as China. India and Japan clearly suffer at the hands of Chinese aggression. And there are various other countries in the very same region who've suffered the brunt of Chinese aggression. So yes, while the conversation is always about how the Quad is not directed against a particular country, or India-Japan conversations and cooperation is not directed against one particular country, the fact is that the security threats that emanate from China as well, and that has to be looked into. Having said that, apart from that, India-Japan ties, like you said, Pooja, are historical. Trade, manufacturing is a big part of the India-Japan conversations, which we will see being taken forward in these meetings as well.
Geeta, you know, let's not ignore the fact that yes, there's Japan, there is Australia, but in the middle is going to be Papua New Guinea, where there's going to be 14 Pacific Island countries, and that meeting is also going to be taking place. India will be a part of it, and many may not really understand, but that also has crucial significance, specifically at a time like this.
Absolutely. Again, the idea over here, Pooja, was that it would have been very convenient to do a Japan and an Australia, but always getting a country or a multilateral into the mix when Prime Minister Modi is traveling abroad certainly adds to India's foreign policy kitty. And the fact that this India-Pacific Islands Cooperation Forum is being co-hosted by India and Papua New Guinea goes to show the importance these Pacific Islands attached to India as well. So the two prime ministers are going to host. 14 of the Pacific nations have already confirmed and will be attending. Again, critical conversations when it comes to the Indo-Pacific, Pacific waters, freedom of navigation, maritime security. That certainly is going to be a focus at a time when we see a lot of Pacific Islands where China certainly has made major inroads. Again, the conversation is very specific that these multilaterals or these groupings, these conversations are not directed against one particular country, but to ensure that there is a rule-based international order that is followed.
Japan, Papua New Guinea, Australia, 3 nations and 19 to 24, that's scheduled. This is historic. Remember, this is going to be very crucial for India's relationship with other nations. It's going to be hectic parlays, and we'll be, of course, updating you as and when Prime Minister Modi lands in Japan, invited by Prime Minister of Japan.